afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever time of day you've chosen to join us here, I thank you. I'm your host, Adam Gerard, and this is A Word with Adam. And I'm joined tonight by A-Town's finest himself, Rocky Monero.
How you doing?
I'm good, thanks, Rocky. How are you?
Good.
And Rocky and I are here tonight to discuss something that anybody who knows me and has followed me for a long time will know is very close to my heart. Wrestling. Rocky, obviously, you can tell he's a big guy. He's a wrestler. And I guess, for the fans out there who aren't educated and don't know, how did you get into wrestling? What made you decide to put on Speedos and roll around with men, for pardon the punnage of it?
Other than the fun of wearing Speedos and rolling around with men.
Yeah, exactly.
I just always watched it as a kid, loved it, fell in love at a very early age. Yeah. And it was sort of like always in the back of my mind, like what are you going to do? Oh, one day I want to be a wrestler. And I just got to about high school when the Attitude Era kicked in, and I was like, yep. I was just obsessed with it, and pencil cases, all logos and stuff, and all wrestling related. Everything was wrestling. And then one day, my brother found an ad in the paper for wrestlers. It was bizarre. Yeah, for wrestling training or wrestlers required. There was a school available. I'm like, okay, that's bizarre. So my brother's like, hey, call this number. So I called him and started training. I was like 17.
Nice.
I'm a big fat kid. So I just started training from there and then sort of just fell in love with it, and it just became my life for pretty much about 15 straight years. It just was it's always been there. I've had time off here and there, but it's just always been there. I've just always really enjoyed it, and helped me get into shape, helped me, gain a bit of confidence, which sometimes turned into arrogance, but
that was actually something I there you brought it up, I'll bring it up now. Arrogance in terms of your character.
Yes.
Seems to be the number one character trait for Rocky Monero, the wrestler, is that he is one of the most arrogant douchebag characters I've ever seen, which is one of the reasons I love him. But you yourself, very different. Now, obviously, there's an act to it all in a certain level, but how do you turn it up to that level where people, I've seen kids throw on shit at you, and people ready to kill you. How do you turn up to that level? Because you are an incredibly charming human being in real life. So to watch this switch for me is just hilarious, because you're a dick in the ring. It's great.
It's okay. I've always worked with people, and I've sort of learnt people, and I'm like, it's if you sort of really I'm a big people watcher. When we have the Fringe and stuff on, I will happily sit there and watch people and watch how they interact and watch things and make up stories about them and stuff. But I just enjoy watching people, and I know what people sort of want to see and what people don't want to see. And if you can tap into the way people think, and if you just portray everything they hate, then obviously they'll hate you. And same way, if you're always doing the right thing, for the most part, people will sort of get behind you. I've always said that the Rocky character was me when I was drunk. When you've had a few drinks and you get a bit of liquid courage, and all of a sudden you're 10 foot tall and you think you're invincible and you think you're the world's greatest ladies man. You're not. But it's a confidence thing, and most people's what they can perceive confidence when they're drunk is arrogance, and I can tap into that, and it's just knowing what people respond to and what people hate. Because if you're sober around someone that's drunk, you can't stand them, and they think they're being really charming. Well, I'll just take that. I've seen that happen a few times, and I'll just take that, and I know how to really annoy people. If you just constantly badger them with the same thing, they're going to hate it. They're going to hate you as a person. They want to get away from you. But with us, they can't get away from us. But what's the next best thing? I want to see that guy get his ass kicked. Yep. So if you can really get into get on someone's nerves and really just sort of get them to a point of anger, then they're obviously going to want to see you get killed. So, and that's the whole basis for what we do.
That's how you make money in wrestling.
That's how you get people coming back in. But yeah, sort of the switch with the personalities. It's just we were talking about the other day, big basketball fans. With the whole Tim Duncan retiring and Kobe. It's as a human being, I'm more Tim Duncan. Just, everything's done straight, try to keep everything, do everything the right way. It's not flashy, but it's done the right way. But then, Kobe annoyed the shit out of a lot of people. He was really good at what he did, but he just, he had an arrogance to him, he had a confidence, he just never thought he was going to lose. Well, that's me when I'm Rocky Monero. Okay, you may beat me in this match, but you didn't beat me in person. I'm a better person than you are. Even if I lose 100 matches in a row, I'm still Rocky Monero and you're not. And then if you can have that personality, people are still going to get, they just want to see me lose. But if I never let them see me lose, even if I've lost the match technically, but I still walk out going, no, I'm better than you, it
Well,
infuriates
that was what
people.
I liked in the last show we did, for instance. Very few wrestlers that I've seen in an indie level like to talk to the cameras that are ringside. They tend to like to pretend they're not there. You, on the other hand, don't have that problem, and I really loved, and I got feedback from people who watched it that really loved the fact that after you lost your match, you're literally in the camera going, delete that, get rid of that. That didn't happen.
I didn't happen.
Beautiful. There's moments like that are great.
Yeah, it's just like it's a really annoying character trait. You know, like
it works.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's got a friend that you just like you argue with them. And you could be arguing about, I don't know, like football or whatever. And you're like, oh, my team did this, my team did that, my team did this, my team did that. And you can get them with like 50 straight points and they still go, no, my team's better than you. And you want to strangle them. You know, like I've been in these conversations, you know, like I'm a very passionate sports fan. And it's just you can't, and the whole thing is you can never argue someone's opinion.
No.
So you can argue facts, but sometimes you can throw all the facts in, but someone's opinion is, I don't like that, and you can't argue with it. And that's what I try to tap into. It's just like, okay, your opinion is I lost, but my opinion is I'm better than you. So what else have you got? And so then like next show, send that guy out to beat him up. Maybe that'll shut him up. No, it's not going to shut me up.
That's good.
Bring whoever you got. Yeah, I'm gonna think the same way. It's just, and that's a really annoying character trait. And so yeah, I can kind of use that.
It works for you, I can tell you it works for you. Alright, so moving on to other things. So you've been wrestling for 15 years now. You've wrestled around the world, you've wrestled for many promotions.
Yep.
You're now doing the AWA stuff.
Yep.
How'd you hook up with that? And I guess give us the background on AWA.
Okay, well it starts with Steve Burrows, the promoter. He used to wrestle back in the day as Blase. So yeah, he was sort of one of the first guys I sort of used to sort of follow around. Like when he was wrestling, we'd train together and stuff, and he was very athletic. So admittedly, he always likes to rib me about this, but as soon as he sort of was wrestling for a while and then took some time off. And as soon as he took time off, I'm like, right, picture that move, picture that. As every good wrestler does, as soon as you see someone do something well, you're like, oh, well, I reckon I can probably do that better. And as soon as they leave, you're like, right, well, he's not using it now. That's
exactly.
That's my move now. But he came back and was sort of, we sort of wrestled each other. He wanted to get in promoting. He loves the promoting thing.
He's good at it as well.
He does well, yeah. So that's his sort of passion now, more so than the wrestling. The same way that my passion's sort of the creativity part of it, more so than the actual wrestling these days. Yeah. But he ran what became Joint Promotions Wrestling, which was an offshoot of the original Pro Wrestling South Australia, which we all worked for.
Yep.
Which then turned into Maximum Power Wrestling, which then turned into Joint Promotions. It's alphabet soup, man. It's just everything. Yeah, you just throw a few letters out there with a W in there somewhere. But yeah, it constantly evolved. But he ran that for a while, and that was his sort of baby. And I was always his sort of right-hand man when it came to the shows. Like I was the first one there, helping him set up the ring, packed it down. Me and him were always spending hours together chatting about wrestling because we both love the same stuff. We both love hip-hop, we both love basketball, we both love our footy, love wrestling, and we love the same type of wrestling. Like we're both huge 97 to 98 WCW fans.
WCW.
We love that because, like I said, the characters, the personalities, that's our wheelhouse. Yep. So we've always been on the same level there. So then, obviously, he's taking time. He sort of left again. I wrestled around everywhere else. I went overseas, came back, and he came and said, "Look, I want to run shows again." I'm like, you sure you want to do that? Because it's not a lot of fun running shows. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. And because he'd been out of it for so long, he's like, I don't really know any of the guys. So he's like, oh, well, can you help me out? So I'm like, okay, no worries. So I put it in with him with a few people, and that sort of set the stage for the first few AWA shows. And it was just, he just has a passion for running the events. He loves running the live shows. I don't know why, because running shows is an absolute nightmare, but he loves it. He loves organising. He loves organising the bar. Get this done, get that done, get this. Have that set up. It's his little baby. And so then he's like, yeah, well, then I want to run these shows. And I'm like, okay, so we've done 3 AWA shows now. And then he's like, always had this idea. We've been running it over for about a year of I want to run a season, like just a short block of shows, and that's all you need to invest in is that block of shows. And we've sort of been going back and forth about it for a while, and finally this year it was like, yeah, we'll do that. We'll give it a crack. I think it's like 5 or 6 shows within a maybe 2-3 month period, and every once every 2 weeks, and then a month, and then 2 weeks, and a month, and 2 weeks, or something like that. It's like, I don't know the breakdown completely, but it was like, okay, let's see if we can try to hit the local market from a different angle. Let's do the whole, okay, we're not asking you to invest your time in with us, month in, month out, like through a 12-month calendar like everyone else does. We're like, we just want you for 3 months, come in, we can give you storylines, we can give you angles, and you're going to get your payoff at the end.
Nice. And
that's all we're going to do. And we're not, it's going to be like a TV show, like a season, like a footy season, or a
almost
TV show.
Almost like Lucha Underground's doing now. They do almost a season, and season 2 may pick up where season 1 leaves off, but you don't need 12 months out of the year.
No, exactly. And we don't need you to know.
It's almost like a football season or a soccer season. So
exactly.
It's a season of wrestling.
Yeah, we don't need you to know the backstories. We don't need you to know everyone. We just need you to go, okay, that's from there, that's going to be there, and you're going to get your grand final payoff here. You know what I mean? So, the shows on the way in, they might be important, might be less important, but you really want to get to that last grand final show, because that's where it's all kind of come to a head. Yeah. So that's sort of his baby, and he's been wanting to do it for a while, and help him out with that, and that's what we're going for there.
Nice. Well, I mean, obviously, I was at the last one, the AWA 3 show, which you main evented. It was you and Elliot Sexton as Sex Rocky, taking on the Mighty Don't Kneel. Obviously, I was saying that unfortunately nobody can watch it because the tape was deleted.
No,
your request short.
Well, no, they can watch the rest of it. It's just apparently there was like a bit of
a glitch at the end.
Went through a tunnel and satellite cut out. So, I don't know. But we don't know what happened in the finish.
Well, no. Aside from the finish,
yeah.
Let's talk through that match, because honestly, there's a reason that the 4 of you were put in the main event of that show. Yeah. You're all larger than life, and you'll have personalities that work well with each other. It seems. How hard is it? Because, I mean, obviously we don't want to pull back the entire curtain, but how hard is it for you guys for individual people, obviously, need to get your own stuff, want to get your own stuff into a certain level, not necessarily need to, but want to get your own stuff in, want to tell your own story, and want to protect your characters to a certain level. Yeah. How hard is it to work a match like that, than as opposed, say, just a one-on-one match where obviously you've got more time for...
Yeah. It can be tough. Luckily, with the 4 guys we had, everyone's been doing it for a long time, and everyone's sort of better professional. Usually in those sorts of matches, it takes one person that is not needing to get their shit in. Doesn't have a whole lot of shit to get in, so it's just like, it sometimes helps to have one person that's just like, or there's usually one person on each team that doesn't mind, okay, I'll sacrifice a bit for the good of the match. I've never been a guy that's needed to I don't have a lot of moves. I think I have less moves than Cena. Like, it's just, I get over with my personality. Yeah. So, far out.
Which works.
I can hit a clothesline or a body slam. It's like, it's negligible. I don't really need it. Whereas some other people need to get this or that or this, and especially with tag matches or just any match really. My mindset's always like, okay, if I'm the heel, I don't need to get a lot of stuff in. It needs to be all about the other guy. So with the faces, you need to make them look good, but then you also need to make them look vulnerable. So you've got to be able to do that, and so it's hard. I mean, that's the art of it.
Is it harder in a tag match than in a single?
Oh, tag's easier. Okay. Tags are amazing. Yeah, you never see guys get mad at being put in a tag match, except for like those 8-man tags and stuff. That's just spot fest. They're the definition of get my shit in. Yeah. I'm no good in those matches. If I get offered like an 8-man tag, I'm like, I'm past this. I'd rather be the manager in a one-on-one match than wrestle an 8-man tag.
Yep.
Purely because I have no shit to get in. But yeah, it's really easy to tell that story with a tag match because it's so visual. It's just, okay, there's 2 guys there, there's 2 guys there. Okay, those 2 guys are picking on that one guy. Well, if that one guy can get to his partner, then they might come in and stuff. It's just it's a very simple story.
Try to test a formula that works.
Yeah, and it's just, like I said, if you've got 4 big personalities, which we did, and 4 great wrestlers, well, 3.5, I'm not that good. It really helps because then everything's believable. Sexton's a huge guy and he's clobbering down. Yeah, he's huge. It's just like it's believable that we kind of need him to get away from him because okay, well if he kicks the shit out of that guy, which is me, then he can get over there and then we can bring in that big giant Samoan guy and he'll kill everyone. And I think that's roughly what happened.
Pretty much. It's a fair play by play.
Yeah, but that's like I said. So those sort of matches, if the guys know who they are, and are confident enough in their abilities, they're really easy matches to put together. You find issues when guys are sort of developing because a lot of guys that are developing don't know what gets over per se, and so that's when you get the whole I need to get this move in.
I've noticed they don't let things breathe either.
No, it's just more is more is more.
Yeah, it's just constant. You're like, no, it doesn't ever feel like anybody's actually in peril because they're just smacking into each other so fast.
Yeah.
Whereas when you hit a clothesline, for instance, and you knock a guy down and he's
Yeah.
down for like 15 seconds, it's like, Jesus, how hard did you hit him if he can't get up?
Well, part of a lot of that sort of stuff with the slower, because I know myself and Jag are kind of older and not as fit as we used to. So if we let things breathe, then we also get to breathe, which is great.
No need to grab a hold all the time.
Yeah, no need to grab a hold, kid. But yeah, just it's that sort of thing. It's knowing the value. Like, so once you're comfortable with your character and who you are as a wrestler, then you're confident. You know, you don't need that instant gratification. Like a lot of the young guys, it's almost like they go at millennials or Gen Y or whatever. It's that constant gratification. You know, like I've done this. I need that reaction now. It's like no. Just play the long game. Like with wrestling, it's like, okay, so you didn't get a spot reaction for that. No worries. Well, instead of just throwing them something now and going, hey, do you like me? It's okay. Well, bang. How did that make you feel? Okay. No. Okay. Bang, how did that make you feel? Well, that got a bit better. Okay, well, bang, how that got a better reaction from the crowd. And then you go, well, I'm going to take that away from you now. Mm-hmm. Okay, I know roughly what they're going to go for, so I'll hold this here and then sprinkle a little bit of this in there, and okay, they got a bit of reaction too, I'll take that away from you now. And then if you're seasoned enough and you're confident in your abilities, you know, okay, so when I give them back this and give them back that and put a little bit extra on top, they're going to go mental at the end, and that's what you want. Whereas the get my shit in guys need that constant, okay, I did that, I want a reaction now. I did that, I want a reaction now. And they do heaps of really cool stuff.
But
the finish gets a flat.
Yeah.
The finish should always be here compared to everything else. You know, and you've got to take them on that roller coaster, otherwise you're just responding to claps. It's like, oh, that was a good stunt, that's cool, but I don't really care who wins.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas, you know, as you were saying, like, people want to kill me. So they care about what happens at the end of the match.
That's the thing, isn't it? That wrestling at its key. You guys are both actor and stuntman in one.
Yeah.
And that to me raises, like, as a fan, the one thing I've always been awe-inspired by is you guys can have up to like 60-minute matches where I'm sure you're not beating the shit out of each other to the level it looks like you are, but they're still got to be taxing. It's still a physical thing. How the hell do you keep getting back up? Besides just adrenaline, and like, cause surely eventually, even if the mat has a trampoline spring to it, there comes a certain point where you're going to get going, fuck, I'm getting numb.
Well, it's
how does it work?
Adrenaline's a beautiful thing. Sometimes it just doesn't. Like, you land, and sometimes you land and you go, oh, that wasn't good, but it doesn't hurt at the time, and then, you know, half an hour later you're sitting backstage going, oh, that was no good. But yeah, it's sort of like, and it's I mean, the guys are all super fit. It's the whole, you know, athlete and actor. You know, like, we see ourselves as, like, a lot of the good guys see themselves as athletes. You know, we train like athletes. You know, you eat like an athlete. You know, everything about you would be, you know, you'd be a great sportsman. You know, like, physically. And then you've got this also other side to your personality where you need to sort of, you know, stoke this fire of, you know, I need to be able to entertain people. You know, like, okay, a lot of us are probably no good at real sports, but we look like we're great athletes. But yeah, so we're all very, like, most of the guys are very fit and this and that, so the whole pulling yourself back up off the mat thing, it's fine. It's just a different type of fitness. I mean, 90% of the wrestlers couldn't run, you know, like a marathon, but if you ask them to fall down, get up, 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 they'll do it. Because that's our fitness. That's what we know. That's what our muscle memories know, is that, okay, you go down, you get up that way. You go down, you get up that way. You know, we know that. That's how our fitness is. It's like people that do, you know, I'm a personal trainer, you do a lot of burpees and stuff like that. Some people can, you know, I get a lot of girls that I train and they can run. They love running. They can run laps of the oval. You get them to do anything that's just sort of muscular endurance and they die out pretty quick.
Yeah, cool.
But that's what we have. That's the endurance factor that we have. It's sort of that muscular endurance. Everyone has pretty good cardio. You get used to sort of go down, get up. And then there's also the tricks of the trade within the matches that, you know, like we say, grab a hold. Just let's hold
Let me catch my breath.
Let's just breathe for a while and yell at this person over here. No worries. Yeah, it's just, that's all part of the show. But then also that's, you know, not so much always just a rest. It's sometimes it's bringing the crowd back down.
I was going to say,
it's
there are
taking the crowd out.
It works so well.
You can't have the crowd here the whole time. You need to bring them back down again. And depending on how low you bring them is how low you can come back up. But if you only ever sort of, you get them to here and then you're trying to keep them there, you'll just kind of stay there, but you'll never get here because you've never dipped low enough to come back up. It's like a swing. You know, you need that momentum. Otherwise, you're just going to sit around the middle line, and it's going to be cool and people on the internet are going to say, oh, he does sick moves and stuff. And, you know, like, they enjoyed it because they're wrestling fans. But the general crowd, you know, and like that.
And I guess that's the hard part, isn't it? Is capturing that general crowd.
Yeah.
That general market.
He said they're trying to pander to wrestling fans is one of the dumbest things you can do because
wrestling fans will watch wrestling.
They're going to come regardless. Yeah, you've got wrestling and title, they're coming. Whether they shit on it or enjoy it, they're going to come. So you've got their money.
Yeah. It's like comic book fans, isn't it? Really?
Exactly.
They'll see the comic book movie, they're fans.
Yeah, and they're always going to complain. You're never going to make them happy. And there's an old saying that if you listen to the crowd, you'll end up sitting next to them. It's just you can't give them what they want all the time. You have to tell them what they want. You know, you're going to watch this and you're going to enjoy this, and at the end of it, that was what you wanted, isn't it? Yeah, okay. You know, like, have you ever received a birthday present, wasn't what you were expecting, and you're like, oh, that was amazing. You know, yeah, that's a thoughtful gift giver, you know? And that's what we're doing. We're like, okay, I roughly know what you want, but I reckon you'll love this. And then if you can give them that and it nails, then you're doing really well. I mean, you're not always going to hit it out of the park, but, you know, you get, as you've been doing it a bit longer, you get more confidence in it, and then you start to go, yep, I know if I throw this at them, they're going to love it. So don't give them what they want, give them what they need. Yeah.
What they need. Exactly, give them what they need. All right, switching gears now.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the future of wrestling.
Yes.
And one of the big parts of the future at the moment is obviously the WWE Network and its Cruiserweight Classic Tournament, which obviously both of our friend Damian Slater is in at the moment. Well, I guess, what are your thoughts on that? Before we go into the bigger picture of where wrestling can go for the future, what are your thoughts on the fact that avenues are actually now starting to open up to Australia, and that in particular, somebody we know is leading the charge, as it were? Like, I guess, as a talent, how does that make you feel?
Well, the door's been open for a while now. I mean, there's I think, what now, six, seven Australians in WWE. You've got Buddy Murphy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Silver.
I don't even know what their names here. Mikey and Shane.
Yep. Team 61.
Yeah. Jesse.
Oh yeah.
Cassie.
Of course, yeah.
I don't. That's not their wrestling names. Yeah.
Off the top of my head, I can't
and Tennille, and you know, and that's like there's already Australians there, you know, and they've been doing like really well. So that avenue is open. It's that door's been kicked down. That whole thing of like when we were all sort of coming up, it was that we're going to have to go to America and live there for a while or work indies there, and then maybe we might get a look in. But these guys have sort of, you know, there's that outlet now that WWE's realised there are a lot of talents around the world. You know, like here, England's got a huge scene there, really, really good. You know, there's Japanese guys, which unfortunately sometimes the Japanese guys don't quite translate because it's a very different sport there. And then they see that. I mean, we've been saying it for years. Unfortunately, we've seen it, but no one else has seen it. But the Australian scenes had as good a crew as and because, you know, obviously
it's a sporting event, and what does Australia do better than anything else in the world?
We love our
sport. Of course, we're going to dominate wrestling. So.
But I don't know, dominate. Let's keep expectations low. But it's that whole, you know, I look at the guys that we've had and guys we've had on shows and stuff like that, and you look at those guys, and then you look at the WWE, and it's frustrating for a lot of us because we're just like, hang on a tick, like, because they're on TV, they're not better than, you know, they don't look better, they don't, you know, especially now with the wellness policy, because the guys aren't, you know, back in the day when they're all big jacked up freaks, you're like, yeah, okay, that guy's huge and we're not huge, that makes sense. But now you look at the general guys and you're just like, well, hang on a tick, he looks like him and I reckon he's better than him, so why are we all worried about them? You know, like, obviously that's where the money is, but it's just like, I've seen, if I picked 20 guys from Australia and put on a show with the same production level as like a WWE show, I'm like, I don't see how they've got that much better product than what we've been able to produce ourselves. You know, like, Australia's got a really good like system. You know, we've had a lot of guys that have sort of come up and done really well, and now they've learnt and then brought that back and then trained the next crop of guys, which have spawned another group of guys. And so now all these guys can kind of see, okay, there is an end game that we can go for. It's achievable. It's not just a pipe dream like it was for me. It's okay, I can actually do that. And there's the results. You can see how to actually get there. And, you know, Slater's, you know, years and years and years of training and done and he looks amazing. He's always been great. Like, and it's funny because the other guys have sort of gone and this and that, and everyone's like, oh yeah, good job. Slater's like one of the nicest guys in the world.
Yeah.
that he's the only person I know that's gone to WWE or had a shot or whatever that everyone's genuinely like, I'm good on him. Like everyone else is just like, oh, he'll mess it up. Like, is he really that good? Like everyone else has a little bit of like, people haven't been there. There's always like they only got this because of that, or they got this because of that. But with Slater, everyone's like, yeah, he's a nice guy. Yeah, he's just, he deserves it. Yeah. We always joke that he's Switzerland because he always sits on the fence.
Oh, he's neutral, yeah.
He's a good guy and he deserves it. So yeah, it's I'm glad that, you know, he's getting that look, but that all the sort of local guys are getting that look now. So
hopefully it turns an eye back now with people seeing him and going, well, there's indie wrestling here, let me find it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the thing is that there's a lot of, like, the local guys, we actually have a lot more broader reach than we thought. You know, and with social media and, you know, your YouTube, Facebook, that sort of stuff, people do get to see it. Like, so when we've posted videos and stuff, you can look at online where most of the views are coming from, and they are coming from the States or England, that sort of stuff. So people are seeing the local product, and that's why it's sort of important to put out a good local product and be fussy about the kind of stuff you do, because people are going to see it.
Exactly.
You know, and it's not that whole thing now where we try to fight for attention. You put something out there, there's a good chance you're going to get some views on it, so make sure it's good. And unfortunately, some people don't do that.
No, I think that's the worst part, is that, I guess it goes back to Heyman. Heyman, famously, that famous quote, accentuate the positives.
Yeah.
If you guys have a smaller show that doesn't have 2,000 people there, okay, you accentuate the positives by making everything else look as best you can, and people won't notice. NXT is not obvious that there's only 1,000 people in that crowd. It feels like it's a WrestleMania crowd because they're so pumped to be there, that energy comes through you.
Yeah.
So I guess that talk about that energy and talk about getting crowds in and getting all that. What is it you feel that the next, obviously I don't want to say you're the last wave, you're the current generation, but what is it the next generation needs to do to really tell themselves? Because wrestling's getting a lot more of a spotlight on it, but that means there's going to be more people out there wanting to do it.
Yeah.
That's the nature of the beast. So what can they do you think? What is it that either wrestling is missing, or how does it need to evolve to take the next step? It's clearly coming.
It's not so much, well, obviously everything needs to evolve, but it's one of those things where you almost need to, like, guys just need to understand what it is. Like, so many people don't get what it is, you know, and they still want it to be a real sport. It's not a real sport. It's a show. It's entertainment, you know, like, and as soon as you tell people, like, people that still try to defend it and, but that really hurts and I did this and that really hurts, people don't care, but they will respect it if you don't lie to them. You know, this is what it is. This is what we do. Like, if I used to sort of, you know, when I was younger, it was always like, it's all, you do that fake stuff, don't you? I'm like, nah, it's not fake, you know, we do this and we do that, and everyone's like, yeah, but I watched it once and the guy was stomping and punching and it's all fake. It's like, you're never going to win that argument. But people now go, what do you do? I do wrestling. Like, what kind of stuff? Like, because I'm sort of bigger now, people don't want to just go, is it all bullshit? Always ask first, like grappling, like MMA stuff. I'm like, no, I do like the stuff you see on TV. Like, what? I'm like, yeah, like the fake stuff. And and as soon as you take that,
as soon as you own it.
Yeah, as soon as you take that away from them, they're like, yeah, but it's pretty cool, you know, like I've seen it and it's a lot of fun and this and that. And so you've got to sort of, without having to sort of, it's not cheapening what you do, but some guys see that as cheapening what they do. It's like, if you sort of take their number one, like, attack away from it, then you can have an open conversation about what it really is. You know, it's a great entertainment form. It's a very tough physical art, you know, and people will sort of respect it. If you don't, you can't take it too seriously. Like, I saw a comedian once, he goes, you know, and like these comedians come out there and say, I'm an artist and this and that, and he goes, no, you're just a joke blower. Like, you say fuck in a really funny way, you know, like that's what gets you over the line. Like, same thing with us, like, we're not really fighting, we're not, you know, but we are putting on a hell of a show, you know, like, it's physical, it's demanding, it's very, very tough, but at the end of the day, it's not a real fight.
No.
And so you've got to sort of think of it in that regard too. Okay, we are just putting on a show. Yes, what do people want to see? That's what we're going to do, and that's what it needs to be, rather than just constantly trying to fight this battle of trying to make wrestling what it's not. It's never going to be. It's never going to be seen as what it was when, you know, Bruno Sammartino was wrestling and it was all real.
To attack and
that sort of stuff, or it was a real contest, or this and that. Everyone knows, except for obviously you don't tell the kids. It's that, you know, let them have Santa, let them have wrestling.
Exactly.
Not ruin it. But for the general public, don't, like, just be happy, embrace what it is. Like, don't try to hold on to what it is to you. Because if you try to hold it on to what it is to you, then you're never going to get anywhere. Because no one's going to love it like you love it, like with the young wrestlers. So you've got to give it to them the way they want it. Like, okay, yeah, this is bullshit. Yeah, it's all fake. Yeah, whatever. But this is what we did. This is what we did before we did. And they're like, oh, that's pretty cool. You know, like they'll be more susceptible to it because everyone's going to come into it with their mindset. But if you can open up their vision, then they'll start to go, that looks pretty good. You know, like, yeah, that seems like a lot of fun. Yeah, when can we come watch your show? Rather than you constantly just trying to sell it with a sales pitch that's not going to work. So I think that's the avenue that a lot of guys need to go. They need to sort of just go, okay, what is this? Why am I doing it? And how can I sell it to the mass market? That's probably where I'd say they need to go with it.
That's a good plan. I guess the only final thing I'll ask, because we talked about it's a sport, it's a contact sport.
Yeah.
It's not a bout, as it were, a physical bout. You've been in the ring where it's turn shoot.
Not where it's turn shoot, but I've had situations where I've been, potatoed a few more times than I would have liked.
How do you deal with that? What happened? Talk me through that situation. So
I
you're in the
don't
ring.
deal with it well.
No, I can't imagine you would.
No, I'm a bit of a sulk. There's times where it's just like, okay, every now and then you're gonna come through a bit stiff on a punch or whatever, and you kind of, sorry, and you know you're probably gonna get one back. Yeah. That's fine. But when you've got someone that's constantly hitting you, and I've had it, like I said, had it recently. It was just like, you just get to the stage where I'm just like, I don't want to be here. You know, like, and then part of me goes into, well, I always put the show first. So it's like, I'll just get through this, and then when I get backstage, it's on. You know, like, I mean, I've never fought anyone backstage, but I will tell someone off. You know, like, it's just, it's the worst part of the sport. A lot of it is the guys that are holding on to it, still being real and still meaning something. It's like, just let it go. If you really hit me, or if you don't really hit me, that guy doesn't care.
Exactly.
You didn't hit me. You know what I mean? Like, so don't actually hit me. You know what I mean? Like, it's just that, I mean, there's time and place, you know, and if you're fighting through the crowd, okay, you need to be a bit more snug, you know, because
they're right there.
Or if you're hitting each other with, weapons, you're expecting it to be a bit stiffer, you know. If you get hit with the back with a chair, it's getting hit in the back with a chair. It's not going to tickle. But yeah, when guys are sort of just outwardly stiff, it's just like, it takes the fun out of it. You know, and like, you're just like, well, I'm going to have a headache tomorrow and this is not going to be worth it. You know, and like, it gets really frustrating. I mean, sometimes to sell the aspect of a match, if you've got like a big blow off feud and stuff like that, and it's like a grudge match and stuff, and you can sort of get into the character and you can get into the story you're trying to tell, and it can happen that way. But that's, usually two guys on the same level going, look, tonight it's going to be a bit stiff. Yep, no worries. And you can kind of work it. But when
at least you're expecting it, aren't you?
When you've just got one side sort of wailing on you and you try to be professional back, and because if it just turns into a fist fight, it's going to suck for the general public. So it just, I hate it. It really, really upsets me. Well, not upsets me, but it ruins what can be something really good if it just sort of devolves into,
Well, you're not in your A game when you get...
No, you get off it and you stop caring so much about the match, and then you lose your focus on where you are, and then you don't have that control of the crowd because all you're doing is going, this sucks. Like, if you're not enjoying it, the crowd's not going to enjoy it. So it's one of those things that happens I've only had a couple of times ever where I've sort of been in matches and gone, I don't want to be here, this is terrible, but it happens, but very rarely.
Oh, that's good. Just a couple of last final questions. One I want to talk about is, we talked about this off the air ourselves, but I think it's probably an important story to talk about. Chair shots to the head,
yes,
as you and I discussed off air. A lot of fans like blood in wrestling.
Yes.
Got an issue with blood in wrestling myself. I do think there are times that cage matches, for instance, kind of adds the element of it. I'm of the belief that unless you can get your arm up for it, you shouldn't be getting hit in the head with a chair.
No.
That is the dumbest thing you can do. As a wrestler who I'm sure has taken chair shots.
Yeah. Like I said, as we mentioned before, I've had the unprotected chair shot to the head, and it caused a lot of neck injuries and a concussion and a lot of vomiting, and it wasn't a good time. But it's that whole, I think chair shots to the head have a place in wrestling because it's such a classic thing.
It's a finisher.
It's a really good, accentuation in a match and this and that. As long as you're protecting yourself, you know, if in general life, if someone was swinging something at your head, you're gonna put your hands up. I don't know where the notion came of. Oh, I'm just gonna put my head out there and get hit in the head because I'm tough.
Because it was a toughness thing.
It was a toughness thing.
One of those guys with a neck like that, like Vader, will have just been like, "Fuck it, hit me."
Yeah, but no, I've got a really long, stupid neck, and it cracks, so I don't want to be hit. But like, okay, if you get the hands up, no worries. People just like to see the chair. Oh, get out the chair.
It's the wrestling thing. It's the chair, the table, the kendo stick.
Yeah.
It's your wrestling shit.
The kendo stick hurts more than the chair does. But yeah, get the hands up, take that. Yep, all for that. You know, like unprotected chair shots, not so much. But you know, if you can get your hands up, no worries. Shots to the head. As long as you're protected and not giving yourself concussion, I think there's a place for it. And blood, I've always been a fan of.
I'm a fan of blood. Yeah, it's
as long as it's not gratuitous.
Yeah,
you know, like some guys.
Ric Flair, where it was like, and they're in a headlock and he's bleeding.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
That's because he's got the hair. The
that's true. Yeah,
it kind of worked. You can't badmouth him. But no, there's a place for it. You know, like if you're trying to tell a story, then sometimes like I never like doing the one night story. You know, like one match as an exhibition. Like I can do like tell a story on the night, but I enjoy we did this show, and this show, and that show. You know, like I like putting together an angle.
Yeah.
And that way, sometimes like it's like okay, like if I've done shows where I've been the bigger guy, and you know they've been the smaller guy. Okay, they're fighting back. They might beat me there. Okay, they'll beat me there. But then here, I'll let him beat me, but I'll make him bleed. Makes him look really vulnerable. You know, like, and then it gets the crowd behind him. You know, if they have to fight through blood and stuff like that, especially as a smaller guy fighting from underneath, bleeding, it's like, oh, this guy's got some balls to him. You know, like that's when people can really get behind somebody.
And plus, when you fight through that, you look like such a hero. You look like a machine because you've killed this dude.
Someone, yeah.
But he looks even better for it. You both look so much better, but he comes out of it looking like a million bucks because he's coated in blood and he's big and he's victorious and he's just knackered.
It has a place in that regard, you know. But sometimes
the Attitude Era, it got a bit crazy where like you'd watch an episode of Raw and everybody'd be bleeding. Like, man.
Yeah, it's just if you're sort of like just every month doing let's do a hardcore match or do a no DQ and every show someone bleeds, it's like.
See, I find the absence of it now is a particularly like I mentioned in cage matches where you got guys raiding each other along a piece of metal and they're
nothing's
fine.
Happening. Yeah,
I like it's stuff like that. I'm like this match doesn't work without blood because the whole point is meant to be
how a cage match works without blood. Personally,
the blood is meant that's the element. You're stuck in there. You're bleeding. You can't escape this person. You're gonna die.
You have to learn to fight back, and that's when the crowd should get behind you and you're fighting back. So I think, but it's like everything. Everything it's like the moves we were discussing earlier. It's letting things breathe. Less is more. You know, use blood sparingly, use that move sparingly, use that chair shot sparingly. If you sort of tie them all together, you know, you can really draw people in. But the problem is, and this is to go right back around to one of the earlier questions, but, you know, with the whole getting people drawn into wrestling shows, a lot of problem is guys with that instant gratification sort of sensibility is, okay, we'll give them the chair shot in that match, we'll give them the blood in that match, we'll do that match there and that match there. Cool, no worries, everyone's seen everything in one night. Yeah. Why are they coming back? You know, like, it's like, okay, they came back and they went, that was sweet, that was awesome, I had a lot of fun watching that wrestling, I'll come next year. No, we don't need you next year, we need you next month. But the problem is we can't promise you that next month.
Yeah, exactly. But if you have one match where the penultimate storyline is somebody is that close to winning and they get mobbed, come back next month if you want to see them redeem.
You know, Rocky got his ass kicked tonight. He still doesn't think he's lost. Come back next month. Maybe he will actually finally concede defeat. But
I hope you never do. On the day you do, that's the day you're going to hang out the boots.
Exactly, yeah. Even if I'm...
That needs to be your retirement speech. Is like, well, I lost and I always vowed that if I ever lost, I'd retire, so I'm done.
I had to do that once. I've had to retire. I'm one of the wrestlers.
Oh, Terry Funk.
I've had a retirement. I've had a retirement. It was my neck. But I've had a retirement. I gave the speech. I cried. It was a touching moment. But I'm now part
of 2 weeks later, I was at WrestleMania.
Yeah, that was about 3 months later. I was back but for a different promotion, so I retired from that one promotion.
Just lose and leave town.
Yeah, no. I'm one of the list of many wrestlers that have retired and come back.
Oh, what a statistic.
Oh, it's great.
It's better than some of the other ones, to be honest. At least you haven't got the DUI or anything like that.
No. Never failed a wellness test. Probably because we don't have wellness tests. Otherwise, I may have peed a bit cloudy. But other than that, yeah, everything's been good. Yeah.
Well, I guess the final thing.
Yep.
Let's get out of the way. How about you give me a Rocky Monero promo on why, for the fans at home, an AWA Rocky Monero promo on coming to see the show.
Yeah, it doesn't even tell you why to see the show. You've nailed it within that question. Rocky Monero is going to be there, so why do I don't need to sell me. You know who I am. They know who I am. They wouldn't be watching it otherwise. They're going to come because why wouldn't you want to see this? It's like I don't need to tell you why you need to come. You know, I don't need to tell you. I don't need to tell them. I don't need to tell anyone. You want to come because you want to see me. It's just what people want to do. They want to watch me do stuff. They want to see even if you want to come to my work, watch me work. You know, it's good. It's entertaining. I guarantee you that. It's just we don't need. I don't personally don't need to try to sell anyone on this because I've got it sorted. All right, so you can have do your own little promo. You tell them why they need to come. 'Cause I don't need to do it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you can of course see all the Australian Wrestling All-Stars information at the website on the screen right now. And over there for all your information about the entire season, as Rocky said, he'll be there for it. I'll be there for it, doing some fun backstage things as well. Make sure to keep your eye out for those. Otherwise, head over to all the website information is on the screen right now. Head over and see it. Hit it up and head over to AWA on behalf of Rocky Monero. It's been an absolute pleasure, my friend. Thank you. I'm Adam Gerard. This is A Word with Adam. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.
This has been a Cabana production.